and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, known for the last 40 years in the marketplace as the Money Lady. And again, for those of you that have followed me over the years, you know that I'm a professional economist. I'm trained in understanding economics, the economy, different systems with regard to finance and resources, and that I talk about it very openly. When I first came into this industry many, many years ago, I've been like this since I was a kid. I'm actually telling the truth. I used to resell earrings for my girlfriend who made earrings, and we were both the same age, and I had other girls selling the earrings, and we'd split profit. And, you know, I found out that it doesn't take a lot, but it does take tenacity, and it does take patience. And there are some traps in this last session. Today, this show is my very last show, part 4 of Surviving the Storm. This is an economic storm, and I am being predictive now, but I'm telling you that by August, early September of 2026, write it on your calendar. You're going to know what I've told you has been the truth. In September of this year, I predict we are going to go into a full-fledged famine in this country on food. I mean it. If you think I'm kidding, read the U.S. Department of Agriculture's report. The farmers didn't get the fertilizer on time. They weren't able to set in their crops on time. They're struggling with who's going to harvest this stuff since we got rid of everybody. Are you going out there digging up corn? Right. So this last session on surviving the storm is specifically my love note to you. This is me talking. Not all the media garb, none of that. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's about you and you alone. And whether you're going to make it, are you going to be able to provide for your family, for your spouse, for your children? Is the dog going to bite you when you show up from work if you have a job? So this is part 4 of the 4-part series. The book is much larger, is a whole lot more information, and at some point, if you want it and you want to pay for it, I'll send it to you. I'm not beholden to anything anymore. If you can use it, use it. If you can't use it, don't waste your time, and certainly not your money. We don't do that. But let's start with part 4. What are my major, if I had to look at everything, what's the most important thing you can do right this minute? And right this minute, you need to know that we are in what I call an economic paradigm shift. What that means simply is that the model for our economy is changing and has to change because we can't do it anymore. After COVID put everybody home, forced divorce rates up when people realize I married somebody I don't even like. And then the number of people that died during COVID. Talk about depopulation, Mr. Bill Gates. 3 million people dead. I mean, it was so horrifying. And it's still not gone. COVID is not gone. Okay? But in addition to COVID and people having to make hard choices about their lifestyles and what they were and were not going to do, we're now looking at a variety of other things. Okay? Including El Nino. You're cooking at home. You're cooking. I mean, the temperatures are out of control. flooding, out of control, the heat. Oh, and I live in a valley city where the heat doesn't go anywhere. It hits that Ohio Valley, and that's where it stays. So you get a chance to experience what heat feels like. Okay, period. Heat. In the midst of all this, we are dealing with extreme international issues. We're in a major war. Major. I don't even know how we got in this war. Persia. Oh, read your economic history or read your Bible. Because the Bible talks about Persia 40 times. That's Iran, by the way. Formidable. They think we're the devil. We killed their supreme leader, their Ayatollah. You remember that. Okay? Because this stuff hurts people. And when people are hurt, they don't care if they hurt you back. So let's talk about where we are now and how did we get here. Wages have not kept up with inflation. I've said that all along. According to the Economic Policy Institute, a credible, well-known research organization, white worker productivity has increased over the decades, where real wages have barely moved. Today, many full-time workers are still living paycheck to paycheck. That, my viewers, is pathetic. And you know how they keep you going? With credit cards. Oh, you don't need all that. You put it on your card. Pay it later. Pay it later? What about if later never comes? What does it look like? How are you going to afford it? There are people using credit cards to buy their groceries and hoping they can ride through it. But I got news for you. Interest rates are now up to 34.99. No, it's not the mafia. It's the Office of Comptroller of Currency. 34.99% interest. That is like, I'm drowning and somebody needs to help me. Cost of living has exploded. From 20 to 24, rent prices in many U.S. cities have jumped more than 25%. Whew! While groceries, gas, childcare, don't have children. Oh, no. And medical costs have surged. I mean, in my community of Cincinnati, Ohio, which is a German city, conservative, you won't believe what they want in rents. We're now number 2 in the country in rent prices. I'm like, what? Most Americans have not seen a matching rise in income. They have not. You may not feel it, but you need to listen. Tune your ears up. Go to the grocery store. Listen to seniors talking. Listen to other people talking. And you know, I don't know how mothers are doing it with these children, with food, because children have bottomless pits. They eat, and you're like, where is the food? Don't ask me. It disappears. Emergency savings. These are core things that as an economist, I look at. Emergency savings are gone. At a recent bank rate survey, bank rate tracks bank activity, interest rates, etc. Totally credible. Totally credible. They said in their report that over 57% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency expense without borrowing. For working class families, one flat tire or medical bill can tip the scales. Now let's stop right there, because I think one of the things I can't figure out is, what am I seeing that you're not seeing? When I go to a major retailer and the shelves are empty and the prices are double, I am concluding that things are out of hand. Period. When I see people that cannot pay their bill with cash on hand and they are pulling out credit cards, that tells me things are out of hand. And the real out of hand viewers, and every banker knows I'm telling the truth, when you run those cards up, the minimum payment goes up. So you've added another $1,000 and your minimum payment has gone up significantly. That's the minimum amount you can pay on that card for that month. Minimum. That does not have anything to do with the cost of the money, how long it's going to take you to get it together to pay it off. And here we are. At the point you cannot take your medications because you can't afford it. Out of control. I do have some good news. The gentleman that's on Shark Tank, I forgot, Mark Cuban, an awesome man, Texas man, he has now come up with a program that will assist seniors who are having a difficult time paying for their medical expenses related primarily to cancer, heart, diabetes. Those things are expensive. And I don't care who you are, there's always a copay involved when you are seeing specialists, when you are getting medication. God forbid you have to go into a hospital. The hospital is not free. There is a portion that the carrier does pay, but there's a portion you pay as well. How are you going to pay these bills when you don't have any money? And before you say, oh, come on, Michelle, it's not that bad, what's your definition of bad? Maybe we really need to refocus on definitions. I think the fact that a family has to buy their groceries on a credit card and defer the inevitable at that kind of interest rate is a death sentence. And then you've got cutbacks in your food stores and all the people that gave away free food, etc. Their inventories are terrible. And I'm telling all of you, the ship is docked. And no, I'm not going to be running around saying the British are coming, the British are coming. I am going to tell you this, it's not the British that are coming, because they're sinking in their own mess, but it is capitalism as we have grown up to accept it. And that is to never, ever, ever have any money, to work your whole life and never have any money. And I'm telling you, with this interest rate piece, where interest rates are what they are now, with the highest being 34.99, whew, you're never going to get out of debt. But it's got to begin somewhere. And so let me give you an example. If you charge $1,000 on a card with a 34.99 APR and make only the minimum payment, you could end up paying more than $2,000 over time. And it could take you years to pay off. Now, I'm telling you this. Don't you think the Federal Reserve and our government and our elected officials know this? I mean, come on. We voted them in. Maybe we need to vote them out because this is not sustainable. I tell people you cannot do this. At these rates, every dollar borrowed turns into $1.35 or more, quickly trapping families into cycles of debt they can't escape. You do yourself no favor by getting involved in this. Does it feel like no way out? It is no way out. Low wages mean there's never enough money to get ahead. High rents mean eat up over 50% of the income in many cities, starting with New York, although they're dealing with their stuff. Cincinnati, I don't know what Cincinnati's going to do other than face increasing criminal behavior as people show their frustration and lack of money. Interest rates, which are driven by your income and your how much money you're spending, interest rates are going to keep people poor. You can't help it. Think about the finance companies and where the finance companies flourished. When I first came into banking, I was heavily involved with finance companies in terms of financing them. I made loans to them so that they could loan to the public, which are basically working class and poor people. Never get out of debt with a finance company. That's why they were in the business. And then many of them were gobbled up by banks who made even more money. The living costs are going higher without clean solutions. Working 2 out of 3 jobs, drowning in debt, and constantly behind. Viewers, that does not feel good, okay? And I'm telling you, I told you, write it down in my last show, you're going to see something in September. I keep saying September because September is the fall of the year, the fall. And I think there's significance in absence of food, inability to carry these debts, inability to have decent employment, and inability to feed your family. Now, you want to talk about politics, I want to talk about the economy. I don't care who's in office. You better fix this because I know your advisors have told you this. We all came out of the same schools. You know this is not sustainable. It is not. Now, are you advocating that all of us go back to the years of the hippies where we lived in communal living, everybody lived together, shared everything? May not be a bad thing to do. They did it in the Bible, and to keep people, everybody was full, and we throw out so much food that it's tragic. But I'm saying this because I absolutely believe that in the month of September, we're going to see it. We're going to see a non-harvest. We're going to see people continue to let people go on their jobs. We're going to continue to see people fall behind on their mortgages where they bought homes they could not afford. We went through that in 2008, but we're getting ready to go through it again because they cannot pay the mortgage if they don't have decent wages and employment. Not possible. You don't even have to be bright. Do the math, okay? I want people to do more than stay afloat, politicians. You owe us that. All of you guys got rich and everything else. Mitch McConnell, rest in peace. My point being, it's getting ready to get impossible. And if it's anything like the Great Depression, well, men had no jobs, family hungry. You know what the men did? They left. They disappeared. They left their families. They left everything. They left her carrying that burden. Is it going to happen today? I think we're there now. If you go into hotel parking lots at night, you're going to see what I'm talking about. I was in one city, and they had the police protected the hotel that I was staying in because so many homeless people were pulling up with their cars and trying to sleep or sneak in to get a shower. And it was just awful. I was escorted into the hotel because they said, well, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what they're going to do. What? They're Americans. What are you talking about? They had jobs. Stuff went sideways. People found themselves not being able to provide a standard of living that was doable. Please. So, let me just emphasize to you that this is not some personal financial issue. It is a systemic economic problem. And it's time we start calling it out. I'm tired of listening to gurus lying to people. Oh, you can get rich. Oh, you can do this. Oh, you can gamble. You can jump off of a bridge. Yeah, why not that? Just say the heck with it. Because if something is not done, really done, not marshmallow conversation, to the core, intense conversation about how this going to happen. Stop being mad at your kids because they can't stay in the apartment. You didn't have to pay that kind of rent when you came out of college. You didn't. Now they're trying. And they got families and kids, and you got a little money. I'm talking to seniors. I don't want them back home. They're your children. Where do you want them? Well, I'll just have to leave. You may be doing just that from a heart attack. Okay? I'm just saying, we're in precarious times, and it requires you, if you have the means and the resources and the smarts, stepping it up and working it out. Does it make sense to gift your children money to buy a house? Well, in the good old days, I owned a mortgage bank. I recommended people gift money to their children to buy a home. Not today. Interest rates too high. Job stability not clean. But if you buy a house, buy a big one, like a compound. That's what they do in Europe, where everybody's on the compound and your money is carrying. Their money comes in, but your money is the foundation. This is totally different than what we have been taught to expect. Grandkids, you need to be with them. They need to know who you are other than on a Zoom call. Okay, these are real talk. I'm not playing. And I'm sorry that it had to come at this time. But after this show, I'm really done with it. I came across this at the public library in Cincinnati. This is excellent. If you want a copy, you can go to the resource guide at chpl.org. It has everything in it. Phone numbers. I mean, this book is wonderful. And while it's specific to Cincinnati, the concept hopefully will motivate other districts that have libraries. And Cincinnati has a wonderful library. They always have. They've always been really focused about education, schools excellent, all the above. But I want to make sure you get this, because if you are in the area of Cincinnati, it could work. If not, you can find comparable in other communities, not necessarily Cincinnati. So, let me go back and reassess. What can be done? Remember, it's a systemic economic problem. It has nothing to do with wealth. We've got, I don't know how many billionaires we have over here now. And trillion. Why do you need to go to space, buddy, when you can't work it out on Earth? Huh? Yeah, it's a black woman talking to you. You know, we tend to be direct. I'm being direct. What do you gain when everybody's hungry and people can't work? And AI, artificial intelligence, is on the verge of going ham, which is out the way. I can't even make a phone call without my phone telling me, I'm recording this call. I didn't give you permission to record this call. What? Oh, that's technology. No. That's money. Who's paying for that? Who is benefiting from that? Is this something I want my children and grandchildren to do as a normal course of business? These are things that we have to ask ourselves that I never thought I'd ask myself in history, but it is here. So while we push for policy change and economic justice, there are things that we can do today. And what I'm going to share with you is not all encompassing. These are things that I just wrote down that I thought would help you. The first thing is face the numbers. Don't ignore the debt. Make a list of all credit cards, balances, and interest rates. Number 2, stop the bleeding. Avoid using credit cards if possible. Seek out community resources, food pantries, or nonprofit assistance before turning to debt. Right. I will tell you that we have some national organizations. St. Vincent de Paul, for example, they do a lot of giveaways to people that are marginal, and they also provide food vouchers, which I like. Negotiate your rates. Number 3, call your card issuer and ask for a lower APR. It works more often than you think. Yeah, you can actually negotiate a lower rate why not? 34.99 is outrageous. Okay? See what you can do. If they're not agreeable, pick up a second job and mark that as the first credit card you're going to pay off. Consolidate strategically. Number 4. My. If you qualify, look into credit unions, personal loans, or nonprofit debt relief programs. Why? Because the more debt you can combine, and I did not say going to consolidators. I did not say, I want you to be clear, I am not a supporter of those kind of programs. Okay? They've been around a long time. But we can do better, and we should do better. And number 5, start small. Right. Begin with the smallest debt or highest interest card. Pay it off and roll the payment into the next one. I know I made it seem so easy. It's not. But the hardest part begins with you. Begins with you. And what are you going to do with the mess that you find yourselves in? I mean, just imagine you get a pink slip from your employer, and they do offer health benefits, but you have to pay them, and it has to be under the affordable health care, which is very expensive. Very. Look at other options. And then don't forget, we're living in a time where people ask questions to the citizenry online. It's very, very powerful. It is. Take advantage of it. Some of these things, I know they work because I did it. Oh, I'm not ashamed. In America, 1% are wealthy. Everybody else is just kidding. Okay? Don't be mystified by what you see, because you do not know what that person has to do to keep things, okay. And then I have one more, in addition to these things about starting small, etc., is if you are in a position to pay off the credit card debts, I would encourage that you do so. I would encourage that you get liquid. And when I say get liquid, I did not say gold. I am so livid right now because the advertisements are everywhere about gold, gold, gold. I know about gold. Gold has been around for thousands of years. They're the nation of Mali in Africa, the wealthiest nation on the earth because of all the gold they had. They almost bankrupted the European banking system with all their gold. Gold is not new, period. But most people, because they don't understand economics, gold is not liquid, meaning you can't take a gold bar to the bank and say, I want $1,000. Here's my gold bullion. And I checked on the spot market, and my bullion is worth $1,000. And the banker will tell you, well, you better find somebody to give you $1,000. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? That gold means nothing to us. That's your gold, and if you need the money, you better go on and try to find somebody who's willing to pay you to get the bullion. And I said, I don't know anybody, but who knows? Stay away from gold. So that's contrary to everything you're seeing on TV. And the reason I'm saying staying away from gold is because there is no liquidity with gold. Come on. The bank will not give you $1,000, and nobody else either. I won't even go there, because you can research this stuff on ChatGPT, which is artificial intelligence. Open up an account for $8 and let the computer do the research. You don't have to be a mastermind. You just have to be a little creative to get what you want to know. But this particular couple went into their retirement. Yep, they did it. And didn't even tell me. That is not good. But I can't say anything else. So let's talk about facing the reality, because here's where we are today. And these are things for you to think about. Okay, but let's start with facing the reality. Stop being a victim of the squawk box. Television is a marketing tool. Now, there's some excellent television shows that I watch and enjoy. BBC has an excellent series on the Earth, good photography. Dave Attenborough is doing most of the monitoring, and good show, great show. He has shown people there's so much out here right now. But do not be out here watching television because that's all you know how to do. Remember, I talked about the raggedy truck? Just keep living. People are going to be selling everything to pay their bills. The truck comes up at a good price, buy it. Yeah, buy the truck. Replace the tires. Go to a used car place, used tire place, and just buy tires. And go on about your business. Face reality. When was the last time you looked at all of your credit card balances and interest rates on one page? What emotions came up or kept you from looking? Was it shame? Was it guilt? I can't believe I got myself in this situation. Halt, stop, time out. It's not your fault. Please. It's not your fault. That's not what's going on here. You have been conditioned by the nature of this economic system to spend money that you don't have, to buy things that you don't need, and to write it off as, hey, I needed the money. Well, I'm glad that you got that, but you're going to pay for that. And it's not going to be pretty. So, I want you to find out about, let me see, I'm just reading off my book. Which of your recent credit charges were for survival? I'm going to read that again. Which of your recent card charges were for survival? Food, gas, rent versus lifestyle or impulse. And what does that split reveal? If you're using your credit card for survival items, I don't have to tell you any of that. You already know. If you are using your credit card for lifestyle, clothing, travel, I don't even have to say about it. But what does it split tell you about you? Really, what does it tell you about you? I'm not going to answer the question. These are questions for you. If credit card companies disappeared tomorrow, which essential bills would you struggle to cover first and why? That's rough. At what interest rate do you personally consider a loan predatory? System versus shame. Where does personal responsibility end and systematic failure begin in the credit card crisis for working class families? I know for a fact that the government knows how much debt your family has. Why? Because they track that stuff. They know who's out here and who's not. What would it mean if you no longer felt guilty and traded out shame for focus and intentionality, which is I'm doing this. I'm not going shopping. I'm not thrifting. I'm not spending any money other than what I have to. And while I'm looking at stuff, maybe me and my neighbors can do potluck Monday, Tuesday bean, something that would keep the money in our pockets. Negotiating power. Have you ever asked a creditor? I'm going to say this again because nobody apparently does this. A creditor for a lower APR, hardship plan, or fee waiver? If not, what stopped you? What worked? May I ask why you're scared to tell a stranger this is what you need? They may do it. It would certainly help on the minimum payment issue, because I'm telling you, the higher the interest rate, the higher the minimum payment requirement. And they know it. They know you can't do it. I'm telling you. And when you don't, then the calls start. Yeah, the collection calls start. And then the card cancellation. And then it becomes a spiraling thing. What do you want to do? What are your intentions? How do you feel about this in terms of economic justice? Is this right to charge a person that? I want you to do a debt date night. I want you to challenge each other. Just a group of your friends. Rank the debts. And then encourage each other. I would like to see this happen, where people work with each other and encourage each other so that they can get out of this snake's nest. Because being in debt in America is as bad as it can get, because they have the power that you don't have. Yes, you can lose your car. Yes, you can get garnished. Yes, you can run into problems with your mortgage depending upon how you have lien holders on. Oh, I didn't know they were serious when I got a notice to appear in court. Yes, they are, because once you do a no-show, it is a default, and they can put a lien. Yeah, and you're talking about a hard time to get that lien off, worse than if you had shown up and pled the mercy of the court. I'm serious. Be aware. There are many people with liens right now because they didn't pay college loans. They didn't do a lot of stuff. And it's not a good story. I would like for everyone who is watching this show to be at a turning point in your life. I can't do anymore. Medicare season's coming up. I won't even get into that. This is one challenged year. There's so much fake news. Everybody, I want a food card. Listen, you want to make sure you get on the plan, whoever's plan, whenever, and stop playing around. You want to find out what resources are available so you can get the help you need now. You're going to have to change your attitude with your friends, which is they're not going anywhere and they want you to join them. And you think, well, we just can do dinner. No, you can't, because you don't know their circumstances that would allow them to invite you to dinner, and they can't even pay for their own meal. They're looking for you to pay. It's just crazy. So I don't do dinners anymore. No, because most people make assumptions about me that say, well, I can't afford it, she can pay for it. No, I can't. And if I could, I would be doing mine first, not yours. That's a victim mentality. But it's a mentality that is a part of why we're in crisis now. Because people want help, assistance, resources. And I said sometimes the only help you're going to get is your willingness to get out there and to make it happen for yourself. Get a second job. So what? Get it. It's not hurting you. Make it happen. The system was designed to profit from your struggle. Think about that. It was designed to outsmart you. Because if you were smart, you wouldn't have been in this situation anyway. But it's designed for that. So you've got to make a decision based on your reflections of where I've been, where I'm going, and where I'm at right this very minute. And turn off the television if it's annoying. It's annoying for me. I mean, I really couldn't tell you what's on television. I don't care. I'm not a stockholder in sports arenas. I don't care. And my question is, why do you care? And why aren't you doing something different? For real. Different. Do it. Do it. I'm not kidding. Do it. Make an intentional decision to say, I've reached the end of the road. And if I do not change my mindset, change my attitude, and change my network of associations and people, because people that have nothing are not your cup of tea. Why? Not that you're borrowing from them, but you don't want to be in that mix. You want to be a person of integrity and truth. You want to be able to look at a situation and not get thrown away. You want to say, wow, that's not me. You want to be able to let people walk away from you because you're not a part of that world. Okay? You should not be feeling any kind of way if you see a person with very expensive things that are way above their means. Don't comment. You don't think that credit and collections in this country is not going to be on them? Oh, yes, they will. They've been trained that people that have those kind of characteristics are losers. And you better secure your collateral. You better do it now before you can't. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing a serious assessment and encouraging yourself that it really does matter what Miss Graves, the money lady, said on television really does matter. Okay? Don't expect anybody in these times, family especially, to lend you any money. It is hard out here. It is. And I don't have any answer. I've given you my answers. First, it's not your fault. So stop flipping around. Sit down. Ask God to help and lead you, because you clearly didn't know what this was all about. And for the record, most people don't know enough about the economic system to know what it's about. When Alexander Hamilton became treasurer of the United States of America, the U.S. had just come out of a major war between the states, and Abraham Lincoln wanted the states that won to pay for all the money that had been messed up. Yeah. And Virginia, most notably, was like, I'm not bailing them out. Why should the federal government bail them out? They should have paid their bills. And he said to Virginia, I believe, he said, well, if you don't bail them out, who is? They're part of the union. And that's important, because nobody gets by. This is the thing that has just made me so annoyed. You think you're getting over by doing your neighbors like this, by living a life that is totally carefree, totally alien from what they're bringing to the table. And I got news for you. That philosophy is going to put you in a box and add years onto their life. Watch what I say. It's going to go down like that. And it needs to, because this thing is horrible. I have here in my book called Money Moves When You Do. I wish everybody could put that on their refrigerator. Nothing happens without a plan. Nothing happens without a budget, because you really do need to know how you're spending your money. As I conclude today's show, in much thought, considering where people are, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. When I look at the eyes of people, I'm like, something has to conclude, because September is going to happen, and we're going to be forced to deal with this truth. And we're going to have to be willing to deal with this nation. We've got elections coming up. You know what you better do. I don't care who it is. We are Americans. And this is not how it goes down. I've said this over and over and over again. No. You don't get to have it your way at the expense of everybody else. We've gone to war over this. We've gone to battles over this. You do not get what you want just cause. Just cause. Because that's not how it works. For being a faithful listener of these last 4 shows on surviving the storm. We are in a storm. The talking heads and all the people that were saying, this isn't going to happen. You lied to those people. You did, because we was all in the back like, man, this is going to really be bad. And nobody had a good answer because of all the debt. And you can't pay off debt if you're not working to pay taxes that are used to pay debt. So how do you rev up an economy? Well, war is always a good way to rev up an economy. But do you want all your grandkids dead? I don't think so. Do you want this technology to be in your backyard? I don't think so. So what is the answer? I'm going to admonish you to pray. Don't play it. Pray like you got some respect. I'm going to admonish you to love your family even more and even closer. I'm going to admonish you to be kind to people, even when they are rats to you. That's a shift. Don't give them back what they deserve. Give them what they don't deserve. Love and care and attention. Works for me. I'm still here. And I'm going to be here when it's done. And on that note, I wish you an amazing day. And God bless you. And we'll talk soon. You think about what I've said today. Bye-bye.